Hey there friends, it's Stacy. I am the Clover Patch Creative and I'm so very glad that you're here today. For this tutorial, I'm going to be making a little sample swatch of the Playful Pinwheels baby blanket. This is all one piece. These are not individual squares. It's worked all in one piece and it uses a technique called tapestry crochet. Don't get scared though, it's not as difficult as you might think. If you would like the full written pattern for this blanket, you can find it in my Etsy shop, in my Ravelry store, and also on my website. So let's get started. Now for this blanket, you're going to need at least 2 different colors of yarn, one color for your pinwheels and then another color for the background. And in this case, for this particular blanket, I have 3 different colors because I wanted 2 different colors of pinwheels. You don't have to do that though. The first blanket that I made like this, all the pinwheels were the same color and it was just as cute as 2 different colors. If you really wanted to shake things up, you could have each of your sections of pinwheels be a completely different color and that would be absolutely adorable. And I, in fact, might have to try that at some point because I think that would be really, really cute. But it's your blanket, your rules, do what you want, but you have to have at least 2 different colors. If you like the colors of this yarn, this is from Hobby Lobby. It's Yarn Bee Soft Secret in Ivory, Taupe, and Sage. But for this tutorial, I'm going to use a different yarn entirely. This is Karen Simply Soft in white, and I believe this is Robin's Egg. I don't have the sleeve, the packaging for this skein anymore, but I'm 99% sure that this is Robin's Egg. You'll also need 2 different hooks, a size H or 5.0 millimeter hook, and also a size J or 6.0 millimeter hook. And obviously you'll need scissors and a tapestry needle for weaving in ends. And stitch markers are helpful, but not necessary. You don't have to have them, but those are really useful on your starting chain just to help you keep track. But again, you don't have to have those, that's up to you. Okay, so let's get started on our starting chain. To start out, you'll need your H or 5.0 millimeter crochet hook and the Robin's Egg yarn. So just get a slip knot on your hook, however you like to do that. And then we need to start chaining in multiples of 20. For this sample, I'm just gonna do 40. Ooh, I already split my yarn, look at that. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now, if I were actually making a blanket in a huge chain, every 20th chain, I would put a stitch marker. That way, if I lost count, if I got distracted or interrupted, I wouldn't have to begin counting from the very beginning again. I would see those 20 chain increments and it would be really easy to pick up where I left off. But I'm not gonna do that since this is just a little chain. So I have 20 more to go. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then you need to add 1 more chain to your multiple of 20 for a turning chain. So I should have 41 chains here. So the stitches used in this blanket are about as simple as you can get. It's just single crochet, so super duper easy. So beginning in this second chain from the hook, we're going to begin single crocheting, and I prefer to flip my chain over and work in the back bump of the chain because I like the edge that that creates. You don't have to do that though. If you prefer to crochet in the front, then you go right ahead and do that. That is not a rule, that is a preference. All right, so we're going to single crochet beginning in the second chain from the hook, and we're going to do this for 10 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. Let me grab some more yarn while I'm at it because I'm already running low. 4. 5 feel like the beginning of any project is always so fiddly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just because there's not a whole lot to work with or hang on to. So don't get discouraged in the very beginning if you're brand new to this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, I'm talking and I'm losing count. Okay. 6, 7, 8, 9. One more. Let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so this is stitch number 10. Now this is where we change colors. We're going to start the stitch just like normal for our 10th stitch, but we bring in the new color on the very last step of this stitch. So we're going to drop the robin's egg, and you need to decide right in the beginning, in order to keep your yarn from getting twisted. I learned this little hack from Daisy Farm Crafts whenever I was learning how to crochet gingham. You choose one color to keep to the front of your work and one color to keep to the back. And I know that makes absolutely no sense right now, but you'll see what I mean as I'm working along. So the colors of the pinwheels I'm gonna keep to the front. So I'm gonna pull this robin's egg to the front, and I'm gonna grab the white. And for the last step of that 10th stitch, I'm going to lay that white up over the top and pull through those 2 loops for the final step of that stitch. And now I have completed the 10th stitch in the robin's egg, but also successfully changed colors for these next stitches. Okay, so for the next 9 stitches, I need to work those in the white. However, I'm going to carry this robin's egg along the top of the chain and crochet over it as I go, so that when I get to that 9th stitch and I need to pull this back in, it's right there waiting for me. Okay, so here we go. 9 stitches. I'm going to put that over the top and just crochet right over it. So here's 1. Let me pull this loop a little bit. It's a little loose from where I brought that in. Here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, hit my cup. Hear it rattling in the background. Okay, 7 I think is what I said. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 8. And here's the last stitch. I'm going to start it just like normal, but I'm not going to finish it because I need to switch back to the robin's egg. Okay, and so here is where I've chosen for this color to stay to the back of my work. So I'm just going to drop that and leave that working yarn going that way. And for the last step of stitch 9, I'm going to yarn over with the robin's egg and pull through those 2 loops and switch back to the robin's egg. Then I'm going to take this white and I'm going to lay it up over the top of the chain. And then I just need 1 stitch done in the robin's egg to complete this little pinwheel block. Okay, so we should have a total of 20 stitches here. We have 10 and then 9 and then 1. And this is the very bottom of our first little pinwheel. And then we're going to repeat this. We're going to work 10, so we'll actually have 11 of the robin's egg here. But this one counts as part of this little pinwheel section. But anyway, we're going to repeat this. We're going to go 10 of the robin egg, 9 of the white, and then finish with 1 of the robin egg. So here we go. And I'm just carrying this white along the top, and I'm going to crochet over it, bringing it along with me so that when I'm ready to switch back, it's right there. Okay, so that's 2. No, that's 1, I'm sorry. We do actually have 2, well actually now 3 stitches, but remember that 1 is part of this first block. So for this next block, it'll be 10, 9, 1, but this section will be 11 stitches, or 11 of the robin's egg, because I mean, if you're looking at this 1 that is included in with that block, then you'll have 11 stitches there. I hope that makes sense. 10, 9, 1. That's what our blocks look like. 10, 9, 1 on this row. So there's 1, 2, 3 of this new block. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to give this white a little bit of a tug to make sure, because I didn't mention that back here. Before you switch colors, make sure that you pull on that a little bit to make sure you don't have any little loops kind of poking out, and that strand is just lying really nice and flat along the top of those stitches. Okay, so this will be stitch number 10. So I'm going to start it just like normal, but I am not going to finish it. I'm going to switch. I'm going to drop the robin's egg and pull through with the white to change colors for that little next section. But let me make sure my stitch count is right. I technically should have 10 right now, and this is 11 because of that 1 extra that was part of that first block, but 10 stitches for this block. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, and this is stitch 11 or stitch 10 for this new block. I hope I am not confusing you by the way I'm saying that, but anyway. Okay, so this is the color that I said I was going to bring to the front. So I'm going to bring this to the front and pull it out of the way. This is going to keep these 2 yarns from getting twisted up. Yarn over with the white and pull through for the last step of the stitch. So this is stitch 10 of this new block. And I've successfully changed colors. So now I should have 9 stitches for the white, and I'm going to carry the robin's egg along the top of these, of the chain to make the stitches and hide that until I want to pull it back in. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoops, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to go ahead and tug on this a little to just make sure there's nothing poking out the back, and then begin stitch 9. But again, remember, we're only starting it. We're not going to complete it because we need to switch again. So this is the color that I've chosen to stay to the back. I'm just going to drop that to the back, grab the robin's egg, yarn over with that for the final step of the stitch, and pull through to complete stitch 9. And then to complete this block, we want 1 stitch of the robin's egg. So our stitch count is perfect. And there we go. So here's what you should have at the end of row 1. we've got 10, 9, 1, 10, 9, 1. So this little stretch actually is 11 of the robin's egg, but again, this one little stitch is part of this pinwheel block, not this pinwheel block. I really, really, truly hope that makes sense. Okay, so there we are at the end of row 1. All right, to begin row 2, we need to switch hooks. So grab the J hook, and we're going to start using that, and we'll use that for the remainder of the blanket. We need to switch hook sizes because since we are carrying the unused strand of yarn along the top, that is going to create a thicker, bulkier fabric, and we want our blanket to actually feel like a blanket, not a rug. And so by switching to a larger hook size, that helps with that. It will give this a prettier drape. Excuse me. Some people, when they're working tapestry crochet, will use the smaller hook size just for the chain and then switch to the larger hook size beginning on row 1. But for me and my tension, I found that it works better if I stick with the smaller hook size for row 1 and then switch to the larger hook size on row 2. That is just something you're going to have to play around with and see what works for you. But in my case, this is what works best. So by at least row 2, you need to switch to your larger hook size. All right, so here we go. For row 2, chain up 1 and turn your work. And our color sequencing for this row is going to be 2, 8, 9, 1. So we're going to start out with 2 stitches of the robin's egg, and then work 8 with the white, and then 9 of the robin's egg, and then 1 of the white. Now before we start stitching, grab this white and pull it up along the side and around the back of the stitch, because we're going to carry this along with us, and then just lay it up over the top, just like we've been doing. And then we're going to start working in that very first stitch. You see how I'm doing that? I'm just bringing it along the side and then around, kind of behind this stitch, up over the top, and then crocheting over it. Okay, so anyway, we're going to start with 1 single crochet in that first stitch. I'm going to pull that a little bit to make sure that this isn't real loopy and gappy along the side. But again, be careful. You just want it to be flat along the side. You don't want it to cinch your work up. Okay, and then 1 more single crochet. We just need 2. So we're going to start it, but we're not going to finish it. We're going to pull this strand forward and finish that stitch with the new color. All right, so then we need to do 8 stitches with the white. So 1, 2, I'm just carrying the robin's egg along with me along the top of the stitches. It's a little bit easier now that we're actually working into stitches instead of just the chain, and it will definitely get easier as it grows taller. Okay, so there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm going to give this a little tug before I work this last stitch just to make sure it's flat and there aren't any loops poking out of the back. Don't cinch it too tight though, remember that, because it's easy to do if you're not really paying attention. Okay, and then this last stitch in the white, but I'm not going to finish it. I'm going to drop that strand to the back of my work and pull through on the final step with the robin's egg. Now we need to make 9 stitches in the robin's egg. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to give this little tug before I work this last stitch to make sure There aren't any loopy loops sticking out the back. And then here's the 9th stitch. I am not going to complete it though. I'm going to pull this to the front and pull through with the white. And then we just need to make 1 single crochet with the white. But again, I am not gonna, since this is just 1 stitch, this can be kind of tricky if you're not used to doing it. It's just 1 stitch, so you're just beginning it like usual, and then because we got to switch right back to the robin's egg, pull through with the robin's egg. Okay, so this is the first pinwheel block, row 2. Okay, 2, 8, 9, 1, and then we're going to repeat that again. 2, 8, 9, 1. So 2 of the robin's egg, crocheting over the white, and my yarn is trying to split on me here. There we go. So 1, 2, I'm not going to finish that stitch though because I need to pull through with the white, so I'm going to pull this to the front and then finish that stitch with the white. Now we're going to do 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to pull, give this a little tug, pull on it a bit to make sure there are no loops sticking out, and then work this last stitch of the white, not completing it because I need to pull through with the robin's egg. So drop the white, leaving that at the back of my work, grabbing the robin's egg, pulling through on that final step. And then we just need to work, what'd I say, 9? Yes, 9. 9 of this. Get this out of the way. We'll weave that end in later. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See what I'm talking about with that little loop? I'm going to go ahead and pull that, but that's what can happen if you're not paying attention and you don't tug on that a little bit. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Give that one more little tug to make sure nothing's sticking out there. And then let's work this last stitch, this 9th stitch. Not going to finish it though. I need to pull through with the new color, so I'm going to pull this to the front, grab the white, pull through for the last step of the stitch, and then work this final stitch of the row in white. And so this is what you should have at the end of row 2. And again, the stitch pattern for the colors is 2, 8, 9, 1. And then you do that again, 2, 8, 9, 1. All right, let's begin row 3. Okay, let's start row 3 by chaining up 1 with the white and turning. And I'm going to carry this robin's egg up along the side behind this stitch and then just lay it right over the top of our work, right along the tops of these stitches. All right, the stitch sequencing for this row is 2, 8, 7, 3. So we're going to start with 2 stitches of the white, 1 and 2, but I'm not going to finish this stitch because I need to pull in the robin's egg. So I'm going to lay that strand to the back, grab the robin's egg and finish that stitch. The last step of that stitch with the robin's egg, and now I need to make 8 stitches with the robin's egg. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to tug on this white to make sure there's nothing sticking out, and then start this last stitch, but not complete it because I need to change colors. So I'm going to pull this strand to the front, grab my white, complete that step, the last step of that stitch with the white. And now I need to make 7 stitches with the white. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to give this robin's egg a little tug, nothing sticking out, and then complete that 7th stitch, or not complete it, start the 7th stitch, drop the white, grab the robin's egg for the last step of that stitch, and finish out this block with 3 stitches, 3 single crochets of the robin's egg. So there's 1, 2, and 3. So there's our first little pinwheel block for row 3. 2, 8, 7, 3. And then we're going to repeat this. So, oh, actually, let's back it up. I need to pull through on this 3rd stitch with the white. So I'm going to start it, but I'm not going to complete it. I'm going to pull that strand to the front, and on that last step of the stitch, pull through with the white. Now I'm ready to go. 2, 8, 7, 3. All right, so 2 stitches of the white. But I'm not going to finish that stitch because I need to switch colors. So drop the white to the back, grab the robin's egg, and pull through for the final step of that stitch. And then we need to make 8 stitches with the robin's egg. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Before I make that last stitch, I'm going to tug on that white and then make that last stitch of the robin's egg, but I'm not going to complete it. I need to bring in the new color. So pull that to the front, grab the white, the last step of that stitch, pull through with the white, and now we need to make 7 stitches with the white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Give it a little tug. Let's start the 7th stitch, but we're not going to finish it because we need to pull through with the robin's egg. So I'm going to drop that towards the back, grab the robin's egg, pull through for the final step of that stitch, and then make 3 stitches with the robin's egg. And that completes row 3 and our second little block. So here's what we've got. 2, 8, 7, 3. 2, 8, 7, 3. All right, let's start row 4. Begin row 4 by chaining up 1 and turning. Carry that white up along the side and around the back of that stitch, and then along the top of the stitches. Okay, our color sequencing for the stitches this time is 4, 6, 7, 3. So I'm going to start out with 4 stitches in this robin's egg, beginning in this very first stitch. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to give this white a little tug so that I make sure there's nothing sticking through the back, and also to make sure this is nice and flat along the side and not too gappy or loopy. And then let's make this 4th stitch, but I'm not going to finish it. I'm going to pull this to the front and then pull through with the white to change colors. So now that's 4. So now I need to make 6 stitches with the white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give this a little tug, make sure there's nothing sticking out. Start this 6th stitch, but don't finish it because we're switching colors. That goes to the back. Grab the robin's egg, pull through, and now we're ready to start with the robin's egg. We need to make 7 of these stitches with this color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, give the white a little tug, and then stitch 7. I'm beginning it, but I am not finishing it. I'm going to finish out with the white, pulling this to the front, and pull through with the white. And then to complete the block, we're going to make 3 stitches with the white. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and that's the first pinwheel of the row complete. And then we're going to repeat this 4, 6, 7, 3. Let me pull the last step of that stitch out though, so that I can switch colors. I'm going to lay that to the back, pull through with the robin's egg, and begin again. 4 stitches with the robin's egg, 3, tug, tug, and then start the 4th, but don't finish it. Let me grab some yarn because I'm running low. Okay, so we started that stitch, but we did not complete it because we need to switch colors again. Pull through with the white. Notice I pulled the robin's egg to the front to keep it from twisting. And then, my goodness, I'm having trouble, aren't I? And now we need to do 7. Oh, wait. 4, 6, sorry, I'm getting mixed up on my sequencing. So 6 of the white, 2, 3, 4, 5, tug, tug, start the 6th stitch, but drop the white, pull through with the robin's egg so we can change colors. And then we need to do 7 and 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, tug, tug, start the 7th stitch, but change color. So pull this to the front, pull through with the white, and then make 3 single crochet with the white to finish out this 2nd block and the end of row 4. So here's what you should have. All right, row 5. To begin row 5, chain up 1 and turn. Again, bring that robin's egg along the side, around the back of that stitch, and along the top of these stitches. The color sequencing for row 5 is 4, 6, 5, 5. So let's begin making our 4 white stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to pull on this robin's egg a little just to make sure that it's not too gappy along the side and nothing is sticking out along the back. Let's make this 4th white stitch, starting it but not finishing it. I'm going to drop it towards the back, grab the robin's egg, pull through so that I'm ready to start stitching with it. Okay, so we've got 4 of the white. Now I need to make 6 of the robin's egg. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, tug, tug, be sure to check, and then 6, start the stitch but don't finish it, pull that to the front, grab the white, complete the stitch with the white, and then we need to make 5 white stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, tug, tug, and 5, but don't finish that stitch. Drop the white, pull through with the robin's egg so we can begin working with it. Now I need to make 5 stitches with the robin's egg, and that will complete that first little pinwheel block. Little tug, and then there's that. So there's the first pinwheel block. I'm going to undo this last step of the stitch because I need to repeat what I just did, and I need to switch back to the white to do that. So there we go. So again, the color sequencing for this is 4, 6, 5, 5. So 4 white, 2, 3, 4, change colors, 6 robin's egg, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and change colors, bring this to the front, grab your white, pull through. Now we need to make 5 stitches with the white. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but change colors. And then 5 with the robin's egg, and we will be done. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And there's the end of row 5. To begin row 6, chain up 1 and turn, and row 6's color sequencing is going to be 6, 4, 5, 5. So 6 of this robin's egg, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, give that a little pull, and 6, but change colors, pull that to the front, pull through with the white, and now we're going to do 4 in the white, 2, 3, and then here's the 4th stitch, but we want to change color, drop that to the back, pull through with the robin's egg, and now 5 stitches with the robin's egg, 2, 3, 4, and 5, change colors, pull that to the front, pull through with the white, and then 5 stitches with the white. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then repeat, but we're gonna change colors because we're starting with the robin's egg again. Let's see, what did I say? 6, 4, 5, 5. So 6, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but change colors, pull this to the front, pull through with the white. Now make 4 stitches with the white. Change colors, drop that to the back, pull through with the robin's egg. And then 5 stitches with this robin's egg. 2, 3, 4, 5, change colors, pull that to the front, pull through with the white, and 5 stitches of white to finish out this second block and the end of row 6. 4 and 5. So you can see it's getting faster now that we kind of know what we're doing and we can see the color changes happening. I feel like it's a little bit harder here at the beginning, but you can see our little pinwheels forming. Okay, let's start row 7. All right, chain up 1 to begin row 7. Turn. Bring that strand of robin's egg up the side, around the back of the stitch and along the top. Now the color sequencing for row 7 is 6, 4, 7, 3. So let's start stitching 6 stitches with the white. 2, 3, 4, 5. Give that robin's egg a little tug. And then stitch 6, but we're switching colors, drop that to the back, pull through with robin's egg, and then 4 stitches with that. Switch colors, pull that to the front, pull through with the white, and now we need to make 3 stitches with the white. Switch colors, drop the white to the back, grab the robin's egg and pull through. And now 7 stitches with the robin's egg. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Change colors, pull that to the front and pull through with the white and do it all over again. So 6, change colors, drop that to the back, pull through with the robin's egg, 4 stitches with the robin's egg, change colors, three stitches with the white, change colors, drop that to the back, pull through with the robin's egg, and finish out with 7 stitches with the robin's egg. And there's 7. Okay, row 8. Chain up 1 and turn to begin row 8. The color sequencing for row 8 is 8, 2, 3, 7. So 8 of robin's egg, check to make sure nothing's sticking out, and then let's work this 8th stitch. Change colors, pull that to the front, grab your white, pull through, 2 stitches of white, change color, drop that to the back, pull through with the robin's egg, 3 of the robin's egg, change color, so pull that to the front, and then pull through with the white, and then 7 stitches of white. Change color, and then we're going to start on our second block. So drop that to the back, pull through with the robin's egg, and do it again. 8, change colors, 2 of the white, change colors, 3 of the robin's egg, change color, and then 7 of the white. Okay, we're almost halfway there. Let's start row 9. Chain up 1 and turn to begin row 9. And the color sequencing for row 9 is 8, 2, 1, 9. So let's begin making 8 white stitches. Change colors, drop that to the back, pull through with the robin's egg, 2 robin's eggs. I keep saying eggs, robin's egg. All right, change colors. We're just going to do 1 stitch of the white, so starting it and then immediately pulling through with the robin's egg again. So drop that to the back, pull through the robin's egg, and then 9 stitches with robin's egg. there's 9. But we need to change colors again, so pull that to the front, pull through with the white. And again, the stitch sequence is 8, 2, 1, 9. So 8 white, okay, here's stitch 8. I'm going to pull through, drop that, pull through with the robin's egg to change color. 2 stitches with the robin's egg, change colors. 1 teeny little stitch with the white, so just start it, don't complete it. Drop it to the back, pull through with the robin's egg, and 9 stitches with the robin's egg. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. I wasn't counting in my head correctly. I was thinking I just had 8 and started to panic. All right, so here's what we've got at the end of row 9. Now, row 10. Okay, you know the drill. Chain up 1 and turn. This is the halfway point for our pinwheel. And the color sequencing for this is super easy. It's just 11 and 9. So we're gonna work 11 stitches in robin's egg. Give it a little tug. Check and make sure nothing is sticking out, or that's not. Now that's actually a little tight, so I'm gonna pull that back out. There, that's a little better, because if I don't do that, then, I mean, you can see where that's cinching up already. So let me pull that out, because I tugged a little too vigorously. All right, let me check my stitch count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're on stitch 11. But we need to change colors. So pull that to the front, grab your white and pull through. And now we need to make 9 stitches with the white. And here's our 9th stitch, and that's the end of that first color block. So we need to start again, drop the white, pull through with the robin's egg, and we will start all over. 11 and 9. All right, here's stitch 11. We need to change colors, pull that to the front, pull through with the white, and then 9 stitches with the white. Okay, I am moving that cut back because that's the second time I've hit it. Okay, end of row 10, halfway there. Half of our little pinwheels. They're so cute. Okay, let's start the top half, beginning with row 11. Now row 11 will begin with robin's egg, so I need to undo the last step of the last stitch from row 10 because we need to change colors. So let me pull through with the robin's egg and then chain up 1 and turn. And this row is worked in exactly the same way as row 10 was. We'll be working 11 stitches with the robin's egg and then 9 stitches with the white. So here we go. Pull that just to make sure nothing's sticking out. Check to make sure that's not too tight. Then here is stitch 11, but I'm going to change colors. And now we need to work 9 stitches with the white. Okay, and this is stitch number 9. I'm going to change colors again to start our second pinwheel. And 11 and 9 one more time. Here's stitch 11, change colors. Bring that along the top, and then 9 stitches in the white to finish out the row. Okay, there's the end of row 11. Begin row 12 by chaining up 1 and turning. And the color sequencing for this row is 8, 2, 1, 9. So 8 white, 2 robin's egg, 1 white, and 9 robin's egg. Here we go. Here's stitch 8. Change colors. Then we're going to make 2 stitches with the robin's egg. Change colors. Then just 1 little stitch with the white. So we're going to start it but not complete it because we need to immediately change back to the robin's egg. And then 9 stitches with the robin's egg to complete this first pinwheel. All right, here's the 9th stitch. But I'm changing color, so pull that forward, pull through with the white, and do it again. So 8 with the white, Here's the 8th stitch, change colors. We're going to make 2 stitches with the robin's egg, change back to the white, make 1 little stitch with the white. So just start it, just don't finish it. You're just going to do that beginning step and then pull through with the robin's egg and complete the row with 9 stitches with the robin's egg. All right, there we go. Let's move on. Chain up 1 and turn to begin row 13. The color sequencing for this row is 8, 2, 3, and 7. So 8 with the robin's egg, here's the 8th stitch, change colors. We're going to make 2 stitches with the white, change colors, then 3 with the robin's egg, change colors, and 7 stitches with the white to finish out this pinwheel. This is the 7th stitch. We're going to change color to start our 2nd pinwheel. And then begin again. 8, 2, 3, 7. Change color, 2 stitches with the white, change your color again, 3 stitches with the robin's egg, change colors, and 7 with the white to finish this 2nd pinwheel and to finish the row. And row 13 is complete. So this is what you should have at this point. Row 14, chain 1 and turn. And the sequencing for row 14 is 6, 4, 3, and 7. 6, 4, 3, 7. Hold on, that looks a little tight. I don't know what my deal is with pulling too tight right now. All right, here is the 6th stitch. Change colors. Now we need to work 4 with the robin's egg. Y'all, we're getting serenaded by a little wren on my back porch. All right, 4th stitch, we need to switch back to the white. Now we need to work 3 white stitches. And switch back to the robin's egg. And now work 7 stitches with the robin's egg. Oh my goodness, I'm getting hung up there. Hang on, let me try that again. I think I split my yarn and that was the issue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 to finish that first pinwheel, but switch colors. So pull through with the white and then do it again. Here's the 6th stitch. We're going to switch to the robin's egg, then work 4 stitches with this. Switch back to the white and work 3. And switch back and finish out the row with 7. All right. Row 14 is finished. Row 15, we are 3/4 done, or will be after this row, with our pinwheel. Chain up 1 and turn. And the color sequencing for row 15 is 6, 4, 5, and 5. 6, 4, 5, 5. There's the 6th stitch. Switch to the white. Now 4 with the white. Switch back to the robin's egg. And we're going to work 5 stitches with this. Switch to the white. And complete the pinwheel with 5 white stitches. Switch back to the robin's egg to begin the 2nd pinwheel. And same thing, 6, 4, 5, 5. Change colors. 4 stitches with the white. Switch to the robin's egg, and we're going to work 5 stitches with this color. switch to the white, and these last 5 stitches will be worked with it. All right, this is what you should have. It's looking like a pinwheel. Chain up 1 and turn to begin row 16. The color sequencing for row 16 is 4655. 4655. So 4 white, change to the robin's egg. Then we're going to work up 6 stitches with the robin's egg. Change to the white. And then we're going to work 5 white. Change to robin's egg and work 5 stitches with it to complete the first pinwheel. Switch back to the white to begin the second pinwheel. And 4 white. Change. 6 robin's egg. Change. 5 white. Change. And 5 robin's egg. All right, there we go. Row 17. Chain up 1 and turn. The color sequencing for row 17 is 4, 6, 7, 3. 4, 6, 7, 3. Change. Now I need to work 6 with the white. Change back to robin's egg. Let me grab some yarn. All right. Now 7 with the robin's egg. Change back to the white. work 3, and then change back for this second pinwheel. 4, 6, 7, 3. And there's the 4th stitch. Change to white. Now change back to robin's egg. And here's stitch number 7. Switch back to the white and work these last 3 stitches. Y'all, we're getting really close to being finished. All right, there's the end of row 17. Row 18, chain up 1 and turn. The color sequencing for row 18 is 2, 8, 7, 3. 2, 8, 7, 3. So here we go. Change to robin's egg. And work 8 with that. Switch back to the white. Work 7 with the white. Then switch back to the robin's egg. And work 3. Then switch back to the white to begin your second pinwheel. Work 2 stitches with the white. Switch back to robin's egg. Work 8 stitches with that. Switch back. Seven stitches with the white. Switch, and 3 stitches with the robin's egg. Row 19, we are almost there. Chain 1 and turn. The color sequencing for row 19 is 2891. 2891. Change. we need to work 8. Here's the 8th stitch. Switch to robin's egg. Now we're going to work 9. Maybe, if I can keep this yarn on my hook, my goodness. I think I'm just so ready to be done. I'm getting clumsy. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1 more. Don't forget to tug, tug, tug. And 9, change colors. Then we're just gonna do 1 little stitch. So you're gonna start it, but you're not gonna finish it. Do that first step and then pull through with the robin's egg because we'll need to start the next block with it. All right, there's that first block. Let's do that one more time. 2, 8, 9, 1. Switch. Now work 8. Switch. Now we'll work 9. Here's stitch number 9. Switch to the white, and then this last stitch of the row will be worked in white. Row 19 is complete. 1 more row to go and we're finished. All right, row 20, last row. This row starts with robin's egg, so I need to undo the last step of this last stitch and pull through with the robin's egg, chain up 1 and turn. And the color sequencing for row 20 is 10, 9, and 1. So we're going to start with 10 stitches with the robin's egg. Make sure you don't have anything poking out on the other side. Here's the 10th stitch. I'm going to switch, then work 9 stitches in the white, and then here's stitch number 9. Switch back to robin's egg and work 1 stitch to finish off that first pinwheel. Then we do it again, 10, 9, and 1. your stitch 10, switch. Now you'll actually have 11 stitches in the robin's egg here, but remember this stitch counts as part of this pinwheel. All right, so now we need to work 9 stitches in the white. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then switch back to the robin's egg, and this last stitch will be robin's egg. And that's it. You're finished with your pinwheels, with that section of pinwheels. Now, to make it longer, you're just going to start from row 1 again and repeat that. So easy, easy peasy. Okay, let's talk about the border. The border that I made for this blanket is so simple. It's just 2 rounds of single crochet and then 1 round of crab stitch. If you don't want to do crab stitch, you absolutely don't have to. It would look fine with just the single crochet. But I made this blanket for my new little grandson that's going to be here in the fall, and my daughter really loves crab stitch borders and requested that. So of course I had to do that for her. And actually crab stitch is really simple. I'll show you how to do it. It's just reverse single crochet. So at this point I am going to snip the robin's egg because I'm not going to use that in the border. I chose to use white. I'm not going to cut the white though because I'm going to pretend like I'm starting a new row and start the border that way. Also, you're going to need to switch back to your H hook, and that will keep the border nice and tight and keep it from ruffling. So I just undid the last step of that last stitch so I can switch to the white, pull through with the white, then chain up 1 and turn to begin the border. Let me fix that. All right, chain up 1 and turn to begin the border. So you're just going to start working single crochets into every single stitch along the top. When you get to a corner, you'll work 3 single crochet into that corner stitch. And then when you get to the side, you're going to work 1 single crochet per row along the side. So 1 single crochet along the top, 3 single crochet into the corner, 1 single crochet per row, 3 per corner, and then 1 along the bottom again, and same along the sides. All right, I'm not going to make you watch me single crochet all the way around this. You know how to single crochet, but that's what I did. Just 1 per stitch, 3 in the corner, and 1 per row along the sides. All right, when I get back to the beginning of the round, I'll meet you back. Okay, I am back to the beginning of round 1. I have just a couple of stitches left to work. Actually, just 1 stitch and then the corner stitch. Now, in this corner stitch, you're only going to work 2 single crochet rather than 3 because the very first stitch of the round counts as that 3rd single crochet. So just 2. And I'm going to place a stitch marker in this final stitch of the round so that I know that that's the last stitch, because I'm going to just do a continuous round for round 2. I'm not going to chain up. I'm not going to turn. I'm just going to start round 2 immediately in the first stitch of the round. So beginning in that very first stitch, start single crocheting again, go all the way around. You'll work 1 single crochet in every single stitch around the entire blanket, working 3 single crochet into each corner stitch. So when I'm back to the beginning of round 2. I'll meet you back. Okay, I am at the tail end of round 2. Let me get these stitches worked. This is the last stitch of the previous round, so I'm gonna take that stitch marker out, but this is actually now the new corner stitch, so I need to work 3 single crochet into that stitch to round the corner, and then that ends round 2. Now to begin round 3, this is the round that I worked crab stitch. So I am going to slip stitch to join to that first stitch of the round and then chain up 1, but I'm not going to turn. All right, crab stitch. Crab stitch is just reverse single crochet. And so that's exactly the way it sounds. Instead of working from right to left, I'm going to work from left to right. Now, if you're a lefty, obviously this is opposite. You'll be doing the opposite direction. So to work crab stitch, you're going to go to the first stitch to the right of your hook and insert your hook into that stitch. And then you're going to yarn under rather than yarning over. That means you need to flip your hook over so that the hook is face down, and you're going to use a rake-like motion to grab that yarn from underneath. So yarn under, pull up a loop, and then yarn over just like normal and pull through the 2 loops on your hook, and that's a crab stitch. Then you'll go to the next stitch and do the same thing. Insert your hook underneath that stitch, underneath that V, yarn under, flip your hook over, and use a rake-like motion to grab that yarn from underneath. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Insert your hook, yarn under, grabbing it from underneath, yarn over, pull through 2. And so by doing this, it creates a kind of twisty effect, and it's just so pretty. And this isn't really difficult at all. It may take a second to kind of find your rhythm and get used to the difference in technique, but it's really not hard. And it creates such a pretty stitch, such a pretty effect. All right, I'm going to continue crab stitching all the way around the blanket. Now, when you get to a corner, I have found with crab stitch, I do not need to put 3 stitches in a corner space or a corner stitch. 1 stitch suffices with that. I found that whenever I tried to work 3 stitches in that corner, it looked bulky and weird, and it just didn't look right. So just 1 stitch per corner. So 1 crab stitch in every single stitch around the blanket. When you get back to the beginning, I'll meet you back. All right, see you in a second. Okay, I'm down to the last few stitches, so let me get these worked. Now the last stitch that I'll work will be in the same stitch where I worked the slip stitch to join. So final crab stitch, and then to finish, just snip your yarn. We're not going to slip stitch to join. All we're going to do is pull through, and then I'm going to get my tapestry needle, my yarn needle, darning needle, and just weave this tail into these crab stitches from the beginning of the round. And then I'll pull that tail tight, pull it down, and it'll blend in really seamlessly, and you won't even be able to notice. Just like that. And then I'll go back through, I'm not going to do it and take the time to do it, but just weave back this way and then back this way so that this will stay secure. And then that's all there is to it. You are finished. So here's our little sample worked up, and I hope that you found this helpful and maybe learned something new. Again, if you want the full written pattern for this, it comes with a chart and all of the sequencing of the stitches, so it will make it really easy for you to refer to as you're stitching along. Those patterns can be found in my Etsy shop, in my Ravelry store, and on my website. So I'm going to get off of here for now, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon.